Today's Fantasy Football Almost Daily is brought to you by Game Blazers. If you haven't tried Game Blazers yet, I've got 100 good reasons why now is the time to give it a whirl. Download the Game Blazers app today and use the promo code FFAD for a first-time deposit bonus of up to $100. You put in $100, Game Blazers will match it dollar for dollar, and that's not to mention the free starter pack to build up your inventory right away. And then you can set those lineups and free contests for your guaranteed shot at $750,000 in prizes this season. They gave $37,000 in prizes away last week. So go build your ultimate fantasy team with Game Blazers. We're also brought to you by Fanball, who builds contests for real players and not for the algorithms. Say goodbye to those mass entry grinders and embrace the sweat with a shot at a payout, because there's not that many people in these contests. They're smaller. Fantasy sports shouldn't feel like a losing battle. Fanball.com is set with the full slate of Week 3 NFL contests, including the Peacock, who pays out $1,000 to the top player. Check out the lobby right now at fanball.com. Let's kick things off with Less Than Jake.
From the Sports Hub Games Network, this is Fantasy Football Almost Daily with your host, Matt Harrison.
Scott Fish is back with me again this week. Scott, thank you for inviting me to that guillotine league that we talked about last week. And I did not make any moves because I really couldn't. And I'm pretty sure my team's going to get kicked out this week.
You don't know. You don't know that? There's a 50-50 chance that anyone will get kicked out any week.
Wait, a 50-50? Like anyone? Like you could be the first place guy and get kicked out? That'd be kind of a bad league.
Yeah, 50-50 in, either you get kicked out or you don't. I mean,
okay.
But the wheel spin on Wednesday night will determine your fate, Ian's fate, a lot of fates considering that league.
So is it just a straight up wheel spin, like 0, 1, or 2? Like each get a third?
This week it'll be 0. No, there'll be 10 spots on the wheel. A couple will say 0 eliminations. A couple will say 1 elimination.
Okay.
There'll be a 2 elimination spot, and there will be Bring Back Jerry, who got kicked out last week. Bring Back Jerry from the dead will be on the wheel.
How do you bring back Jerry from the dead if his guys are like in the waiver pool? He just gets to pluck guys off the waiver wire.
Yep. He's gonna get a waiver wire crack at rebuilding his team.
Oh, I love this! I'm excited. You're gonna have to share that link with me so I can be on the stream for that one. I'm excited to see.
I will.
All right, we're just gonna dive right into waiver wire stuff today, and I got to play our little waiver wire sounder because. Who do you want to boogie with, Scott?
Ooh, yowza, yowza, yowza. I want to boogie with you.
Oh,
I don't know why I love that so much.
It's beautiful. Yowza,
yowza, yowza. There's a lot of yowzas in the last week 2 of NFL play.
Sure.
The most interesting one was maybe Joe Burrow gone for the better part of the season. Sounds like 3 months, as he's going to get surgery on his turf toe, meaning Jake Browning suddenly is at the helm of an offense that includes Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Chase Brown. So Jake Browning's only 2.2% rostered in sleeper leagues right now. Yeah. Scott, I guess that's a 2-pronged attack. If you're a Joe Burrow owner, what's your bid? And if you're not a Joe Burrow owner and you're trying to keep that Joe Burrow owner from getting that guy, getting Browning, what's your bid?
I'm terrible at the bids thing.
Oh, that's right. We wanted to rank them.
No, it's all right. I can just talk about him. I'd put him like, if you need a player, if you lost JJ McCarthy or Joe Burrow, one quarterback leagues, I generally do not fight for guys like this on the waiver wire, but I will say, to end the 2022 season, he had 6 straight games over 21 fantasy points.
Yeah.
Several top 12 finishes in that time. It's still a high-powered offense. Jamar Chase doesn't have turf toe. T. Higgins doesn't have turf toe. Chase Brown doesn't have turf toe. That offense is still humming. So they do have a couple tough. They got Minnesota this upcoming week, but then they got Denver. They've got a couple with Pittsburgh. They've got some tough matchups coming up. Jets. So it's not like the easiest schedule, but if you need it, go for Browning. In Superflex, he absolutely has to be rostered in every Superflex, and I would take a pretty hard shot at it if I only have 2 quarterbacks or 3.
Yeah, I mean he's 29 years old. He's been around the league for quite a while, all with the Bengals, I believe, and he's been pretty solid in his backup role before. In 70% of the snaps last week, he had 241 yards and 2 scores. Also had 3 interceptions, and then he had the 1-yard touchdown run. So it made him into a pretty viable quarterback last week. If you randomly started Jake Browning last week,
I did.
QB 14. So, and that's on, about 3/4 of the work. So, Browning, I feel like in a super flex league, I think that you're right that you have to kind of go for this. To me, it feels like the Bengals quarterback du jour for 3 months is probably worth about 20 to 25% of my fab.
Yeah, like you said, especially in Superflex, it's not just you getting another starting quarterback because you don't find them very often. It's keeping him away from others as well. So there's like a dual side to that.
All right. Jake Browning will face off against the Vikings this week, who will be starting a different quarterback of their own as J.J. McCarthy turned his ankle. I have a theory that his ankle's fine and he's just tired from the baby keeping him up all night and he wants some nap time.
That is quite the theory.
Carson Wentz, who is not rostered at all, is the backup quarterback for the Vikings. And in a 1-week sample, because I'm guessing this is a 1-week injury, maybe 2 kind of a thing. But Carson Wentz will start this week against a Bengals defense that's not very good. He's got Justin Jefferson. He's got Adam Thielen. He's got TJ Hawkinson. Is Carson Wentz kind of a take a chance on me style quarterback this week?
He probably could against the Bengals. I wouldn't doubt it. I don't know how much I'm in love with it. I guess more of a super flex play. We're talking, I mean, if it's a 1-week fill-in, I get it, but he won't be the starter long. And who's to say he doesn't look like he's fresh off the street after a couple weeks ago, Who's to say Brosmer doesn't take over for him at halftime in this week?
Wow.
So I'm not investing a lot in Carson Wentz. And then after this week, if he's the quarterback, let's say JJ McCarthy is out the next 3 weeks dealing with that ankle. They get him back after the bye. So he misses 3 games and the bye. He comes back week 7. The Steelers and Browns are pretty decent defensively, and those are overseas games. Maybe you get Wentz for 3, I guess, but I'm just not trusting it. I'm not in pretty much money unless it's Superflex.
So Fish is not making a bid on Carson Wentz. I don't really blame you because it seems like a short-term replacement. I guess if you're the McCarthy owner and you're desperate in a Superflex league, a couple bucks is probably the right play, but
that offensive line is going to have trouble keeping him upright too.
Yeah, I hope Darrisaw's back. I hope the center. Well, I'm spacing on the center's name right now. Kelly.
Yep, Ryan Kelly.
Kelly's back. But yeah, they looked like turnstiles against the Falcons pass rush, who had the vaunted Atlanta Falcons pass rush on Sunday night. Let's go to the running back position where Ramondre Stevenson is somehow only 59% rostered in sleeper league.
It's so weird.
Kind of bonkers because he still is the starting running back on an NFL roster.
Yeah, he played over twice the snaps in week 1. I was going to look real quick the snap count week 2, but he got way more. He had
65% both weeks.
Yeah, he ran the ball more this week. He led the team in receiving yards, I believe, or at least he
5 catches for 88 yards.
Yeah, so he had 39, and Travion Henderson had 19 snaps. So he basically doubled Travion Henderson up again. He's the starter. He's the starter, and he's still catching passes. He caught 2 or 3 in week 1. I don't know why he's 59% owned. He should rostered. He should be starting, let alone not on a bench.
Yeah. Well, and they get Pittsburgh this week, and some might think, ooh, Pittsburgh, tough run defense. Well, Pittsburgh just got ran all over on by the Jets a week ago, and didn't do too great against the Seahawks this week. So Pittsburgh suddenly one of those green light defenses, and then they get Carolina the following week.
And everybody start all running backs there.
Yeah, exactly. And there's not really too many stoppers. They have Buffalo in week 5, but it's pretty green for them going forward. If Ramondre Stevenson is available in your league, he needs to be a priority pickup. And suddenly he's available in 40% of leagues right now. He's got to be on rosters. That should be near 90, 100%. And I think after his 21 plus PPR fantasy points last week, he's probably going to be. So I'm guessing probably a 15 to 20% bid is necessary.
If he's available in that 41% of leagues, he's probably your number 1 pickup.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
All right. Next running back. We talked about him a little bit last week on this show, so we were ahead of the curve. It's Bashal Tutin, whose roster percent went up to 45% this week, and he looked all right for the Jags in a few little plays here and there on Sunday. What are your thoughts on Bashal Tutin, Scott?
I thought he looked good in his limited action in week 1. I thought he looked even better this week. That touchdown he scored, he made a really nice juke on the defender. His pass catching looked fine. Obviously, he's got to be the reason they traded Bigsby. I mean, that was pretty much assumed, but they're happy with LaQuint Allen as well as a pass catcher. But Bashal Tutin, he's working in a whole lot more. I'm just finishing up watching that game, and I was pretty impressed with what I saw out of Tutin. Averaged over 5 yards a carry in that one. So,
yeah, his snap share went from 6% in week 1 when they still had Bigsby to 25% last week. So that's a good sign there for Tutin. So should be a rootin' tootin' good time. Blake Corum is a running back for the Rams. Yeah. Many people wanted to draft him last year and drafted him highly, theorizing about the demise of Kyron Williams. But Blake Corum finally getting a little bit of action. Did he have a touchdown last year? Because he got one in this game in week 2.
I don't think so. I think it was his first touchdown. I'm not 100% sure, though. So
he did have 30% of the snaps. So that's something. Usually Kyron Williams gobbles up almost all the snaps. So 30% is a pretty big share for Corum, probably the most he's seen in his tenure. 5 carries, 44 yards, and a touchdown. That's 8.8 yards per carry. And he's only owned in 13% of leagues. So it seems like a buck or two is in order, especially if you're the Kyron Williams guy, maybe just to have that handcuff there.
Yeah, probably. I mean, a little bit. I watched this game this morning as well. A little part of me is reminiscent of Trey Benson from last week, where Blake Corum had 1 carry in the middle of the second quarter. His second carry was with 2 minutes left in the third quarter. So he basically went 3 quarters with 2 touches.
Okay.
And then even in the fourth quarter, it was 1 solitary drive when they were up 27-16, where he got 3 plays in a row and he got the touchdown to make it 33-17. So the game was, getting close to out of hand at that point. So he really, the first 3 quarters of that game, he really didn't do anything until the
so you're kind of passing on Corum in this sense, maybe just because it might not be real, or it might be garbage time only.
It might be. I'm not saying it is, but the optics of it make it look like he was not really playing until he got that drive where he spelled Kyron in the fourth and he scored the touchdown and got almost most of his yards and touches. Yeah. So.
All right. Well,
I like him though. I like it. Like you said, put a $0 bid, throw a buck. If you're the Kyron owner, maybe it's $2.
Here's a guy I like a little bit more, Tyler Algier, who's 33% rostered in leagues right now. I mean, we've said on Fantasy Football Weekly that Tyler Algier is just a good running back, and he was the starting running back until they drafted Bijan 3 years ago.
Yep.
He still gets snaps. He still gets a pretty decent share of the running game there.
Yeah.
And he looks good. He has never fumbled once in his career. He runs hard. He runs aggressive. I don't know why Tyler Algier is not a guy on every roster, not just 1/3 of the leagues, because in a situation where you got injuries or it's a bad bye week, Tyler Algier is a guy I think you can plug into your flex and be okay with it.
It's a weirdly safe little floor. I know that the first week the yards weren't super there, but double-digit targets or double-digit touches in both weeks. And even through his career when he's shared with Bijan, he's had a lot of double-digit touch games. It seems like they like spelling. They completely trust him at the goal line. They trust him in pass catching. They trust him being in there when they want to spell Bijan Robinson. Obviously, Bijan's the bell cow, and a lot of people really love and want Bijan to be the everything. But like you said, Algier is actually really good. And I hearken that back to the days of when I played in a league with him, a fantasy league with him.
Oh, of course. You know, the other running back you played in a league with, he got real hurt last week. So maybe this is a curse of Scott Fish.
Yeah. No, just a nice fun call back there. But no, I like Tyler Algier. He's a good bottom of your roster. Throw him on the bench. Put him in the flex when you need him, or based on injuries or buys or whatever, and he's not going to do you too wrong. Yeah.
So here's the other thing with Algier. He gets Carolina this week.
Oh yeah, just got thrown in there.
I think he's startable. And Scott, if you don't have that for take a chance on me yet, you might want to grab Tyler Algier as your take a chance on me runner right now.
I was gonna say I already grabbed him as my take a chance on me runner. I think no, I didn't.
What are you doing?
Yeah, no, actually, yeah, I put my pre-spec running back in my take a chance on me spot. That's why.
Yeah. But after that, they have kind of a harder running back schedule with Washington, then a bye week. You can't start them there. And then Buffalo and San Francisco. So a much more difficult path ahead. But Tyler Algier is a guy you could use this week. And maybe he goes off for another 15 points again this week. And then maybe you try to sell him. See if you can get rid of Algier.
Yeah, that would be a good way to move it. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it would be. Chris Rodriguez is the next guy we're going to talk about. By the way, Algier, I think he's probably worth maybe a $4 or $5 bid in most leagues.
Sure.
Chris Rodriguez we'll talk about because Austin Eckler tore his Achilles, another guy you've played in fantasy with. And I mean, maybe you want to take 2 seconds to talk about how great Austin Eckler has been for the fantasy community and just what a good dude he is.
I mean, I can, yeah. Austin's always been very supportive of the fantasy community. He used to do his show on Yahoo for a couple of years, one with Liz Loza, and then it moved on to him with Matt Harmon. Always been very supportive of it, and right now he's the last couple of years he's been doing a few fantasy drafts for charity. It's been with him. He doesn't play in them, but he has merchandise and signed paraphernalia and fun stuff like that. And this year he got some other athletes like Geno Smith and certain other players to join in doing what he was doing, basically doing these fantasy leagues and having, memorabilia and maybe even tickets to games and stuff like that as potential prizes, all trying to do good with fantasy. So not only has he been a proponent of fantasy football, he's been a proponent of stuff near and dear to my heart, which is, trying to do good with this hobby of ours.
Yeah. Charitable giving. Austin Eckler, I mean, I hope it's not a career for him. It's an Achilles is a tough injury to come back from after you're in your 9th year of running the ball in the NFL. Yeah. But if it was a career, what an absolute awesome career it was too.
Undrafted free agent to, a first round pick in many leagues for a couple of years there. Absolutely.
All right. So Chris Rodriguez is going to be activated. He missed the first 2 games from deactivation because Jeremy McNichols was their special teams guy. Eckler's kind of their third down back, and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt was really taking the early down stuff. But Rodriguez is a pretty good player, and Charch kind of highlighted it a few different ways on Fantasy Football Weekly. Yep. The dude can play. He's got wiggle. He's got some elusiveness to him. when he gets the ball, he's one of the more dynamic runners in the league, but he just hasn't had the opportunity just because there's been so many guys ahead of him.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because I think there's still, it's still going to be a shared ball experience there in Washington, I think. But Chris Rodriguez can easily take some of that goal line work as well. This one I need to see play out a little more. I'm willing to take the shot at trying to get it. I think it's a high-powered offense that is going to be able to score at a decent click in most games. So you want, pieces of the pie of a good offense. I'm just interested to see what his share is going to be. But like you said, like Charge pointed out, he's been good when he's had the opportunity. This is a guy who was really, really good for a year in college under Liam Cohen too. Liam Cohen's had a lot of good running backs.
So Rodriguez only 7.9% rostered right now. I think that you can get away with a $1 bid or a $0 bid on Chris Rodriguez and get him because he hasn't been active for the first 2 weeks. But if you have a roster spot open or you're just clogging it with some garbage on the bottom of your roster, I think I'd rather have Chris Rodriguez than a lot of the bottom of the barrel guys. Yeah. Let's move over to the wide receivers. And my take a chance on me wide receiver last week was Wan'Dale Robinson. Boy, I got that one right.
Gosh, did you ever?
Charge was texting me all weekend, basically like, oh my God, you nailed take a chance on me, because it was Mac Jones, who had 3 touchdown passes. It was Nick Chubb, who scored last night, and Wan'Dale Robinson, who went off for the really big day on Sunday against the Cowboys. Wan'Dale's only 27% rostered right now. He had 8 targets in the first game. He had 10 targets in the second game. Caught 8 of those for 142 yards and a score. And the thing I like about what the Giants are doing is, like, they're not playing well enough to win games. So it's almost like YOLO catch-up mode.
Always negative game script, yeah.
I mean, Russell Wilson kind of looks a little bit like Jameis Winston, his teammate right now, just chucking the ball up.
He's done a couple of those, yeah.
Russell Wilson's got a great deep ball.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He rainbows it right down. They catch it perfectly. I really like Wan'Dale Robinson for the rest of the year, and I think that he's definitely worth a pretty substantial bid this week.
Even in week 1, Wan'Dale had 8 targets, and Russell Wilson, he does, like, we saw several just throw it up balls in this game. One awesome touchdown by Neighbors and one picked off in that same mode. But he was still 75% completion rate, and Wan'Dale Robinson is a big part of that, because that slot roll, he can go outside, but he's a high catch percentage guy, and if he's getting 8 to 10 targets, he's getting 6 to 8 catches. Mm-hmm. Quite literally what happened: 6 for 8 and 8 and 10.
Yeah, you got it perfectly, Scott. You nailed it right there. So Wan'Dale Robinson only 29% rostered right now. I think I actually might have said a different 27%. It went down somehow on Sleeper, because I looked it up earlier and it was 29%. It went down. He got dropped in some leagues between now and my research. Yeah, I think I'd put a good 10% bid on Wan'Dale Robinson.
You're definitely high on him. It's I think it's more legit than certain other wide receivers we've seen in the first 2 weeks. Their blow ups. Remember, even stud wide receivers have duds, so don't be shocked when Wan'Dale comes up with. Wan'Dale has had a lot of games where he's had 4, 5, 6 targets or catches or whatever, and he's at 30 yards. So don't be surprised when those happen.
Dimes and Tommy DeVito games.
Absolutely, you're right. I'm just saying, don't be surprised, because the first 2 games were awesome. Don't be surprised if he's got a few of the lower ones, but I do think this is legit. This volume feels legit.
Yeah, and it seems like there are 2 targets in New York. Like, literally only 2 targets. It's Malik Neighbors getting a ton, and it's Wan'Dale Robinson getting the rest. Yeah. And when you can focus all of your offense on 2 things, it makes for some pretty good fantasy opportunities there.
They are the new Chase Higgins. They're the new Hill Waddle.
Oh, yeah, that's totally it right there. All right. This guy we talked about a little bit last week. It's Elick Iomanner, and my computer likes to spell check his name to Epic Iomanner, and that's a pretty good name because he had a pretty decent day in week 2, and we kind of talked about it as a sneaky pickup just because he had so many targets in week 1. He had 7 targets in week 1, didn't connect on all of them, but 6 targets this week, 4 catches, 56 yards, and of course a touchdown, which now people are like, oh, eyeballs open.
Yeah, I talked about it last week a little bit in that I don't know if I remember I don't know if I talked about he was top 10 in first read target share, which gives you a slight edge. You get, about 0.9 fantasy points per game more as a first read target, and you get 1.1 yards per target more. And that gap keeps widening. So first read targets are just they're just more valuable. But he led the league in unrealized air yards last week. He had 2 deep balls contested, one knocked away, one just couldn't get there. They were kind of both contested, one defended. That he would have made it a big game. And he had a medium, like a 15, 20 yarder on the sideline that Ward just threw it slightly out of bounds. He caught it, but it was just slightly out of bounds. So he didn't get the yards there. Otherwise, he would have had a big week 1. The 7 targets were a good foreshadowing. He just didn't connect on those couple there. And this one, it finally showed up a little. It was a good matchup spot for him against the Rams. But
it's worth noting though that the Rams are pretty good secondary, and he played the Broncos in week 1, which is one of the best secondaries in the league. The schedule's going to get a lot lighter for him.
Yep.
I kind of like the Epic Iomanner play.
Epic Iomanner. So he's a guy I've had as a take a chance. He's a guy I almost did a pre-spec on, but I decided not to. But I think that he's one you want on rosters. Absolutely. My main concern, and maybe this lightens up, like you said, because the 2 teams that they've faced so far have really good pass rushes, and that's been getting to Cam Ward. Cam Ward has 270 yards over 2 games.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of meat on that bone. So you're going to have to hope he makes it up in other ways by either scores or catches.
Well, at least not yet in those first 2 games. Like I said, the passing schedule gets a lot easier for Iomanner and the Titans as we go. Let's talk about Troy Franklin, who's 9.9% rostered right now. He popped off for a pretty big week last week. 83% of the snaps for the Broncos. 9 targets, 8 receptions, 89 yards, a score, and he added in an 11-yard rush on there. So came up with 24 PPR points. I think of a guy named Troy Franklin, and I think, oh, this is going to be a little scat back guy. But no, the dude's 6'3".
Yeah.
He's a big-bodied receiver, and he's kind of suddenly pretty interesting, especially if you're a Bo Nix believer.
Yeah, especially if you're a Bo Nix believer on multiple fronts, right? This is what I was texting Charge about. I debated my pre-spec last week a ton, and Troy Franklin was the other guy that I was like, God, I should do Troy Franklin, and I didn't. And now, of course, he blows up. But Troy Franklin, as a lot of people know, went to high school with Bo Nix, went to college with Bo Nix, lived with Bo Nix's family for a while. Not a joke, he did. I mean, it's just when he went out to college, that's how it worked. And now he's with Bo Nix in the pros. And so there's a long lasting connection there.
Do you think they have like matching tattoos or something like that?
I don't know. I have not seen enough of either of their bodies to look for a match or heard any stories about it.
Which NFL players have you seen the most body of?
I have no clue. But anyway, they clearly have a connection. Bo Nix and Troy Franklin, and Mims did score in this one too, but it does feel like he's a little bit usurped that role to become the second wide receiver behind Sutton in that offense. He's one of my more. Wandale's your top. Troy Franklin might be my top of these. Alec Manor is rostered in all my leagues, so I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in leagues with a bunch of guys who draft pretty deep too. So
yeah.
Io Manor's probably rostered in most of them. But yeah, Franklin, I think 5 to 10%. Fab.
Sure.
Does that sound fair?
It does. I mean, much like any of these wide receivers win your game this time of year, you're going to have down weeks. Even studs have down weeks. So, stick with them. But he's clearly the number 2 in that Denver offense right now.
Absolutely. A guy, an oldie but a goodie, Hunter Renfrow, back in the saddle again. Last week, he came up with a pretty good day for Carolina, and he's only 3% rostered right now. 81% of the snaps on the field, and Carolina was in catch-up mode that entire game. So Renfrow saw 9 targets, 7 catches, 48 yards, and most importantly, 2 touchdowns in that one. I'm kind of sneaky trying to trade for Bryce Young and maybe Tet McMillan right now, just because I think their defense is such trash that it's going to just be a lot of YOLO passing for the Panthers late in the season as we continue on. And Hunter Renfrow might be squarely in the middle of this as kind of that Adam Thielen role. And Thielen did pretty well in that slot role last year.
Yeah, I mean, your only concern is Coker's on IR and scheduled to come off, after week 4. I don't know how, and the injury, if I recall correctly, it didn't even seem serious enough for him to go on IR. So I don't expect him to be gone too much longer than those actual 4 weeks. So that might cap Renfrow long term. I'm probably not throwing bids down, but it's the kind of one where you're like, $0 or $1. I get it. Just throw something at it.
So more mirage than trend, you're saying?
I'm saying it might be a trend, just possibly a short-lived one.
Yeah. Did you see the clip on Twitter that was rolling around of Xavier Legette catching balls and just going east-west like every time he caught a ball? The dude never runs north-south. I think the caption was, did somebody tell him there was a rabid raccoon in the end zone or something like that?
Yeah, that's one catch for -2 yards on 8 targets. It's an incredible stat line there.
So he keeps doing that, though. Renfro's going to get more play.
Yeah, absolutely. Renfro mostly plays in the slot, though. That's the difference. So
yeah.
I mean, I suppose it's not like they're 100% in one spot, but
sure.
Yeah.
All right. Last wide receiver we'll talk about is Tyquan Thornton, who is a Kansas City Chief. He caught a long touchdown pass from Patrick Mahomes last week. Only had 2 catches, 59 yards in the score. Did have 5 targets in there. Surprisingly, he was on the field for 75% of the snaps. It's just Kansas City really couldn't get much going through the air, especially when Travis Kelce's bopping the ball up in the air and letting Philly intercept it. So thoughts on Tyquan Thornton? Is this kind of a short-lived thing, or do we maybe have something of a deep threat here?
So this one's going to be interesting because Xavier Worthy didn't play. He was questionable and then ruled out. They originally thought Worthy might miss a few weeks, but then he started, then it came down to he might play, turned into questionable, and then he was out. We don't know how many more weeks. Maybe Worthy comes back in a week, and this is really short-lived. But Tyquan Thornton, people probably don't remember. He was a second-round pick. He's not without talent. He was a second-round pick just a year ago or a year and a half, whatever, by the Patriots. Got cut after a year, and KC picked up a second-round prospect, right? Plucked him off free agency. So he's a guy with talent. I do wonder if Hollywood and Juju and Kelsey, Worthy comes back, it's going to become pretty crowded real quick. It was a nice 1 week. It was, and even down to the specifics of it, it was one 49-yard touchdown that was most of his statistics. So
Mahomes did miss him on another deep shot in the fourth quarter, early, like just a few plays before.
Okay.
And it was probably like a 50, 60-yard pass that Mahomes just overthrew him by a little bit, and Thornton was free. So there's a little something there on the unrealized catch there.
Yeah, I mean, again, like any of these that we're listing, there's enough there to throw in small, like a $0, $1, $2 bid if you have space on your roster. And I think Thornton makes sense for that.
All right, we got 2 tight ends to cover, and they're really kind of guys that we covered before. Zach Ertz first, number 1. He is basically a top 5 tight end again. What the heck happened? What year are we?
What year is it? Yeah.
Did we go back in the time machine? Jaden Daniels has really focused on Ertz so far this year. In the Green Bay game on Thursday night, 8 targets, 6 receptions, 64 yards, and a touchdown. He scored in both games now. He was tight end 2 last week. In a first couple of weeks where tight end scoring has just kind of been down overall, Zach Ertz has been a guy that if you drafted late, he definitely hasn't hurt you. He's only rostered in 53% of the leagues, but I kind of think that he should be rostered in a few more than that.
Yeah, I do too. 5 targets in a score week 1, 8 targets in a score week 2. Daniels clearly trusts him at the stripe. We saw that last year too. He's very rosterable, especially with how tight ends are this year. He feels safe. He's not going to score every week, but it feels like that target volume is pretty safe in that offense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Carson Wentz and Zach Ertz both on this show.
Oh, wow.
Goals from 5 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, you could get that hookup. And I mean, like 6, 7, 8 years, I think it was 8 years ago. That would have been like one of the best combos you could have had in a dynasty league. I got Carson Wentz and Zach Ertz. I'm set for years.
And you would have been right. In 2025, you still have 2 valuable pieces.
Yeah, it just takes time. Zach Ertz, because he went off so much, if he is available in your league, it's probably going to cost you a couple extra bucks this week. I would guess your bid probably has to be $5 or something along those lines, but you don't have to break the bank on him for sure.
Yeah.
And then Juwan Johnson's the other guy we want to talk about, 51% rostered in sleeper leagues. And he had another 9 targets, 5 receptions, scored a touchdown this week. He's been tight end 1 and tight end 4 in scoring in the first 2 weeks. It's clear Spencer Rattler has a whoopee, and his name is Juwan Johnson.
Yep. And I mean, it helps that Taysom Hill and Moreau and Hill are both on IR. So he's the only tight end in town and the only one worthy of starting. And I mentioned this on Fantasy Football Weekly. Mike Triplett, what's his first name again? Triplett. Anyway, the beat reporter for the Saints said like
Jeff.
Is that it? Like 2-3 years, he kept saying that this was a guy that they really wanted healthy. They really wanted to get going, that they liked him a lot. And he's finally healthy and going. And you're right. Spencer Rattler just loves him. And this is one you just want to pick this up and ride this as long until she bucks you, right?
Or until she shucks you when Tyler Shuck comes in and starts throwing
I like
terrible pass.
Like it. Yeah. I was going with the bowl reference, like ride it like a bowl for like the
I know.
Shucks you. I like that. That's great.
Yeah. Shucks. We don't want Tyler Shuck to play yet. We want him to sit and watch for a long time.
This feels like what it's going to be with Juwan Johnson until there's some massive change, or maybe some matchups change it, but it feels like it is Rattler's whoopee.
And the Saints are kind of frisky right now. They've been in games. They're not getting completely torn up. So let's see if they can kind of keep this going.
Yeah, Rattler had 3 touchdowns this week, which I think I probably would have bet against a Rattler 3 touchdown passing day.
You would have bet against that? What kind of odds would you have gotten on that one?
I have no idea, but
all right. This was the waiver wire episode of Fantasy Football Weekly. You can find, or Fantasy Football Almost Daily. You can find Scott Fish on Fantasy Football Weekly later this week. I was on this last week. Who are you on there with this week?
I'm on there with Charch and Thor.
Charch and Thor. That means it's going to be a fantastic show. Thor's going to tell you all the rookies you can start this week, and he'll probably be right on most of them. So find Scott on Twitter at ScottFish24 and use your fantasy league to donate a couple bucks to Fantasy Cares. You can do that right in the League Safe app, by the way. Something that we like to do to help support Fantasy Cares and all the stuff that Scott does with his awesome charity. So, all right. I'll mention as we rock out Game Blazers, which combines so many elements of DFS with trading card collecting, and there's free games for cash prizes. And that's what you get every week with Game Blazers. Guaranteed season-long prize pool of $750,000, which is more than double than last year's grand total. And every week you enter free contests and win your share of a minimum of $35,000 in cash prizes. Plus, there's objectives, there's rewards, there's XP. You can level things up. You can get a battle pass. You can make your items better. So many rewards that you can go with. And if you use the promo code FFAD, you get a first-time deposit bonus of up to $100. So go build your ultimate fantasy team with Game Blazers. Scott, anything else you got going on this week besides kicking me out of the Guillotine League?
No, not really. We just hang out on the Fantasy Cares YouTube a couple times a week. We have a Wednesday night hangout at 9:30 Eastern. We have trivia on the Fantasy Cares YouTube tonight at 7 Eastern.
Nice.
But not much else. Just hanging out, having fun, enjoying this fun life and hobby and sport of ours.
I'm kind of convinced that because of this Guillotine League having such random, crazy stuff going on in it, that I'm going to somehow get eliminated this week, but Ian, who finished worse than me, is going to remain in. And I'm gonna scream foul when that happens.
Yes, that might happen tomorrow night.
Tune into the Fantasy Cares live stream, available on YouTube if you search Fantasy Cares, correct?
Yep.
All right. Sounds good. For Scott Fish, this is Matt Harrison, and this was Fantasy Football Almost Daily. We'll see you tomorrow, maybe.